Part three is going to be all about the paddles. We're going to adjust both the player one paddle and the computer paddle so that they have some kind of movement to them. And we're not going to worry about the ball bouncing off them yet. We're just going to kind of handle their motion in this part. So you can see I'm going to click on the player paddle first. And the player paddle is going to need an event. So under events, when the green flag is clicked, the first thing I'm going to worry about is what the size of the paddle is going to be, because that might change from level to level, and also where I want it to go to. So for me, I'm going to look under the purple section, looks, and we're going to say set size to a certain percentage. Now let me just see what 100% looks like when I start this game. Um, I'm actually fine with that being the size at the start, but if you want to modify it, you can. Just think that in later levels, as you have to modify this game, the size of the paddle is one very easy change that you can make. So let's go ahead and start at 100. We're just going to stop the game now. And let's tell it to also go to a certain point. So go to X something, Y something at the start of the game. It's actually kind of at a nice spot right here. And if I hover over it, you can see that's negative 215 roughly, and Y equals -3. So I'm totally okay with that as its starting point. So I'm just going to leave that like that so that every time we start the game, it starts in that spot. But now we obviously need motion to it. We need the player to be in control of this. And you have to make a decision, like how is the player actually going to move this paddle? I'm going to leave this alone. I like to do my coding where I do a lot of different when the green flag is checked. It's just kind of easier to do it all separately. So I want it to always be this size and go to this space, and now I'm going to work on the actual control of it. I know that I'm going to need some kind of forever loop, maybe repeat until later on, because maybe I'm going to change the way it moves. But for now, I'm just going to start with a forever loop. And under motion, we're going to have some kind of go to a certain position. So I'm going to forever have it go to that. Now, if I just left it like that, it would just be stuck in that place forever. You can see that this is highlighted yellow and this is not. This did it once. It did each operation once, and this is continuously doing the operation in this loop. Well, this isn't much fun for the player. Still can't move the paddle. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can give them a little bit more control. All right, so what I'm looking for now is something about the mouse position. So I'm going to look for sensing here, and I'm going to look for the mouse position. You can see that I have a mouse X and a mouse Y. What I really want is to know if the mouse is going up or down, so that would be on the Y axis. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the mouse Y. So it's always going to be on X -216, but now it should depend on where I put the mouse. So let's go ahead and start that, and you can see what I'm doing right now is I am just moving my mouse up and down, and this gives me control of it. Okay, so that's a really good simple control for the player paddle. And now we're going to shift our attention here to what the computer paddle is going to do. Now keep in mind that the computer paddle is a completely different story because the computer is going to be automated. I'm in control of this, but I'm not playing against somebody else. I'm not playing against a real human. I'm playing against the computer, and the computer needs a certain level of AI, artificial intelligence, so that the game is going to be challenging. So now that I'm happy with the player paddle, I'm just going to go to File, Save. Again, do that every time you do something that you like in your game. I'm going to switch now to the computer paddle, and again, we need to tell it when to start looking at this code. So when the green flag is checked, I probably want to set the size of it. So set size to whatever percent. Again, as the game goes, maybe the computer paddle gets bigger. Maybe that's one of the challenges. I'm just going to see what 100% looks like. That's fine. I'm happy with it the way it is right now. I'm also going to go ahead and ask it to go to a certain spot like I did with the other one. So go to X something, Y something. There we go. And that should just kind of put it where it already is, which is roughly the middle. If I want to be exact, I could change this to Y0. Okay, so you're welcome to do that if you like. I'm happy with it being close enough here. Okay, now what we're going to do is add control, and we're going to add a forever block right here. Just going to stop my game for a second. Okay, so now we're getting into a motion of gliding where we want the paddle to automatically glide to a certain location. So you can see that by default, it's kind of like smart enough to know that I want it to go to X, the same value where it started. So that's actually really good. But now we're going to go ahead and grab in a block that looks like this. So this is under sensing. And you can see right now it says backdrop number of stage, but you can modify these things. So what I actually want this paddle to keep track of is the location of the ball. I want it to kind of automatically go towards the ball. Now I have to think about this. Do I care about it going towards where it is on the X line or where it is on the Y line? I care on the Y axis because the ball going up or down, I need my paddle to also go up or down. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to the Y position. Now, once you have this block set up properly like that, I'm going to now go ahead and stick that in to the Y location. So it's going to forever glide. It's going to take 1 second to get to the X position of that, which is where it's always going to be, and the Y position of the ball. So depending on if the ball is higher or lower. We're going to go ahead and start that game. And we're going to see now that the paddle on the right side is automatically trying to move towards the ball. And you can see that this is yellow right now, that it's highlighted, so it is definitely doing it. The problem is it's taking its time to get to that spot, and you can see that it has virtually no chance of connecting with that ball. So we might have to go ahead and adjust the amount of time it takes to get to that ball. If I went with a higher amount, like let's say 10 seconds, then you're going to see when I run this game, it's actually going to be even slower to try to adjust to where the ball is. It's barely getting there. You barely even see it moving. Okay. If I go with something lower than a second, so something that's going to be even faster, let's try 0.1 seconds, and I run this game. Then as we go here, you can see that the computer now has better AI. It's doing a better job of keeping up with that ball. Now let's see if it hits it sometimes and it doesn't other times. It looks like it would have hit it there. It looks like it might have hit it there. I kind of like the 0.1 seconds right now, but it might be adjusted. It might be 0.2 seconds. It might be 0.3. This is something that we're going to try as our game goes on. So let's just try 0.2 and see if we like that. So it would have hit the ball there and probably not there. Okay, so again, I might come back to this number when I'm making my game more challenging. I'm not really going to know if this is exactly what I want until I see the ball actually bounce off the paddles. But the point in this tutorial was simply to set up the motion of the paddles. So we now have the player one paddle that's moving by the mouse, and we have the computer paddle that's moving automatically by gliding forever to a certain coordinate. Okay, so I hope you learned a lot in tutorial number 3. In tutorial number 4, we're actually going to program the first level so that we have accurate bounces off the paddles. See you next time. Don't forget to save.